You know, in a world full of deepfakes and anonymous crypto transactions, how do you even begin to build a reputation that's, well, bulletproof? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty radical new way of thinking about this, a framework called the Trust Verification Graph. It's all about turning your reputation from just a feeling into your most valuable and most verifiable asset.
Okay, so let's just get right into it. We all hear the same old advice, right? Network, be kind, build relationships. But honestly, in a world where an AI can perfectly mimic your voice and digital identities can be cooked up out of thin air, is that classic advice really enough anymore? Is just being nice a workable strategy when trust is no longer just a gut feeling, but something that has to be proven?
And this is the new landscape we're all trying to figure out, a zero-trust world. Now, that term might come from cybersecurity, but let's be real, it's become our social reality. With stuff like crypto and AI becoming more common, the default assumption isn't belief anymore, it's skepticism. And this isn't just a tech problem, it's a social one. It completely changes the rules of the game for how we build, and more importantly, prove our reputation.
So, if that's the world we're in, how do we operate? Well, the answer, and this is what's so fascinating, doesn't come from a new app or some Silicon Valley startup. It actually comes from a philosophy that's over 2,000 years old. Yeah. We're about to see how ancient Confucianism actually gives us a surprisingly sophisticated blueprint for building trust in a world that demands verification.
And this slide right here, it just perfectly lays out the problem. The old Confucian idea of benevolence was designed for a world of tight-knit communities, where everybody knew everybody. But on our huge, global, digital network that spans every time zone and culture, how do you possibly verify something as soft as goodwill? That's the modern puzzle we've got to solve.
So, the first key concept we have to get our heads around is REN. Now, it gets translated as benevolence, but it's really so much more than that. Think of it as the consistent act of providing real, verifiable value to your network. It's not a feeling, it's an action. It's the engine that actually powers all of this social trust. And the second concept is Li, which means rituals, basically the established rules and protocols for how we interact with each other. I know it might sound a little stuffy, right? Like something out of a history book. But just stick with me, because we're about to see how this ancient idea of social rules gets a massive 21st century upgrade. It's going to become a really powerful tool for building that verifiable trust we've been talking about. And this is where the brilliant framework from Albert comes into play. He takes these ancient Confucian ideas and translates them into a modern, totally actionable system for building a reputation you can actually prove. This is where philosophy stops being theoretical and becomes a seriously practical tool for our digital age. So, here it is, the big idea at the heart of all this. We have to completely shift our mindset. Your reputation isn't some vague, fuzzy feeling. It's a verifiable asset. We need to start treating our social capital like a cryptographic proof, like a piece of data that can be mathematically verified and locked down, leaving zero room for doubt. This brings us to the trust verification graph itself. I want you to picture your entire network, professional, social, all of it, as this living, breathing map. You're a node, and every single person you know is another node. And the lines connecting you, they aren't just relationships. They are data-rich pathways with a verifiable history of trust baked right in.
Now, in this model, trust finally stops being this abstract idea. It's actually measurable. You can think of it like the bandwidth of the connection between two nodes on your graph. A low bandwidth connection, that might just be an acquaintance. But a high bandwidth connection, well, that allows for this seamless, frictionless exchange of value and information. It signifies a deep, proven, verifiable level of trust.
And here's where it all clicks. Your reputation is no longer just a static resume of things you've done in the past. It's a dynamic, high-value asset. Think of it like your own personal blockchain. Every positive interaction, every time you provide value, it's like a verified transaction that gets permanently and publicly added to your personal ledger of trust.
Okay, so this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But how do you actually build one of these trust verification graphs? Let's break down the two key mechanisms that make this whole system actually work in the real world. So, the first mechanism is a modern spin on REN, and it's called proof of benevolence. Step 1, you provide verifiable value. That could be a key introduction, a crucial piece of information, or a real offer of help. Step 2, and this is the absolute game changer, you expect nothing back immediately. It's a deposit into your ledger, not a one-for-one transaction. And step 3, every single time you do this, you're not just helping someone else, you are actively strengthening your own node, proving your own value and reliability to the entire graph.
The second mechanism is an update on Li, or ritual. And I have to say, this is an incredible analogy. Rituals, things like regular check-ins, remembering small details, following up on a conversation, they aren't just old-fashioned fluff. They are literally the TCP/IP of human networks. You know how TCP/IP makes sure data packets get sent and received correctly over the internet? Well, these social rituals do the same thing. They ensure your intentions are clearly understood and that your acts of goodwill are received without any packet loss or misunderstanding. It's brilliant.
So, what's the big takeaway here? This isn't just some interesting theory to think about. It's really a call to action. It's about fundamentally shifting your mindset from passively networking to actively and strategically building your most valuable asset, your trust verification graph.
Albert Tan just says it perfectly. I don't talk about networking. That's shallow. I build a trust verification graph. This single statement just captures the entire mindset shift. It's not about how many connections you have, it's about the verifiable quality and strength of your trust ledger.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Is your reputation right now a fragile house of cards built on vague feelings and old-fashioned goodwill? Or is it a fortress built on a secure, verifiable ledger of trust that you are actively building every single day? In this new zero-trust world, that choice is entirely yours. And the tools to build that fortress, well, now they're in your hands.